All right, so I'm going to try to explain to everybody kind of what I've been doing with the Facebook posts and all of that stuff, right? Because basically, I've been using this Facebook page strategically to prove that the DA of Houston is really targeting, not only targeting free speech, they're actually arresting people for what should be a First Amendment right for everybody, right? And this is happening all over the country. I know it, but you know, it's hard to prove that, right? I mean, you can say it, but unless you have a clear and concise example of them blatantly doing it, then you really have nothing, you know? And I already explained how in 2020 I was arrested for based on false allegations for a violent crime where there was no evidence of violence. Like there was, some text messages that were taken out of context, and honestly, they had no business trying to understand them anyway without looking into. It takes an expert to really understand intrafamily dynamics. Okay, you can't just look at a couple of text messages and be like, "Oh, this is what's happening." So anyway, I knew that this was the case, right? I knew that the only thing that they were basing their allegations on was just a series of text messages, like 5 text messages. And so, I knew this for a long time. I figured the system would work. It didn't work, just because of what was happening at the time. And this was something that during COVID, I started to realize that people were being basically kind of like hypnotized by the mainstream media into believing, specific things. And I noticed that all of the people who were prosecuting me, who were persecuting me, were all of a very specific political ideology. It was all kind of the Me Too, feminist, Marxist Democrats, and that's what I call them, because every single one of them had that's what they prescribed to, and they prescribed to it very. They didn't deviate from that, right? And so instead of doing what my attorneys told me to do, which was be nice, I basically said, fuck that. I'm going to lean into what they think I am, just this horrible person, and I'm going to give them confirmation bias, right? Because if I do that, then they're going to think that they were always right about me, okay? And so basically, one of the things I did was I created political polarization, okay? And I did that, and then I also taunted them online, knowing that what I was posting would eventually get through to them, right? And if I could make their hate strong enough for me, right, just by literally just becoming the enemy in their eyes, right? To them, I'm this far right bigot, and that's what I want them to think, right? I want them to think all of these things about me so that it's very easy for them to talk to each other and say, oh man, look at this guy. He's dangerous. We need to do this. And so 2 years later, or 3 years later, again, the first instance, I couldn't really say, okay, they're targeting my free speech, because the reality is that, it could have gone both ways, right? I mean, it's a he said, she said argument, because there's no evidence. So, nobody would have really believed me without something to back it up. So that's when I wrote the rap song, right? I wrote it, and it's a bad rap song. Like but it's not illegal. It's just, it's very provocative. Okay. And so I got that idea. It's from NWA. A lot of people have seen that movie Straight Outta Compton. You might know Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, right? They wrote that song called Fuck the Police in the 90s, and they were told not to play it. I think it was like I forget where it was, Cleveland maybe. And they said, fuck you. The cops said, we're going to arrest you if you play it. They played it, and then they got arrested, and then they took it to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court said text in the form of a rap song is indeed free speech. Okay. So the Supreme Court ruled on that. So I figured, look, It's a long shot, but I think that by polarizing them and then taunting them after I write a song, a very, provocative song, that they would try to arrest me for it, because I knew that that's what they did in the past. Okay. They wouldn't admit it, of course, but I knew that. And sure enough, I literally had to go to court and watch as the judge listened to my entire rap song. Okay. And finally said, okay, well, you can't send him to jail for this, but they tried. Okay. And then fast forward to a few weeks ago, I did the same thing. I wanted one more block of proof that I think is modern. It's the most recent example. Basically, what's happening in the UK right now, where they are literally sending people to jail for years and years based on Facebook posts. And I wanted to show that we're not far off in America, that this is happening right here, that these people, if they don't like you, they don't like what you have to say, they are literally willing to send you to jail for a Facebook post. Okay. And so this was my goal. All right. Was to prove that. And so over the last few months, I have been, oh God, on Facebook, just antagonizing them, right? Just really saying just very polarizing things, right? That normally I would not say. Okay. Yeah, it worked. Because I was arrested and I spent 17 days in jail, and I didn't really know what it was for at first. Like they said, it was because I broke probation or whatever, but it turns out that wasn't the case. Like whenever on day 17, when my attorney came in, she said, this is what they want to talk to you about. And she handed me a Facebook post, and I was like, I smiled really big. So I was like, thank God. I mean, this was the purpose. This was the reason. I mean, I knew I was there for a reason. Because this is just something that, I mean, I'm like, dude, that's a small price for me to pay to show what's happening and to show people that, look, if we continue to allow this, like, we're not going to have a country, and they are so audacious, right? And I get it that, I'm being provocative, and normally I wouldn't be posting things like this, but that's not the point. The point is that you should be able to say whatever you want, right? Because they're just words. It's just text, right? And all text should be free speech. And I mean, even threats, I think, should be free speech. I'll tell you why. Because I would rather somebody threaten and then know that it's a risk than somebody not say a word and then you be completely caught off guard in a situation and have a massacre. Okay. Like, it's better for people to express or say whatever they're going to do. Right. So you can at least assess the situation. So even, people talk about threats and stuff. Even in that situation, I think free speech is better, because I mean, I would want to know where the risk is coming from versus like just, being in church one day and then all of a sudden, pop, 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 you hear, gunshots. Like, you can't prepare for that. It's much more dangerous. So anyway, and also, without free speech, like, so they put a gag order on me saying like, I can't say harassing, whatever, blah, blah, blah stuff, which I wasn't doing anyway, but it's very confusing because I don't know what it means, right? Or I don't know if they're saying, okay, you can't say specific words or you can't say something in a specific context. It's really subjective. So they could literally send me to prison for something that they don't like or that they deem to be harassment. There's no real, definitive rule for that. So anyway, I wanted to explain that that's one of the things that I have been doing. And I don't know if the gig's up yet. I really want to get the FBI to investigate this thing. So I wanted to keep provoking, but I don't know that they're going to believe me anymore. I think I kind of got the vibe when I was there that they all kind of realized that I was fucking around with them. So I don't know, but we'll see.